What is going on, guys? Phil here from Philscraftcorner. Today we are making this. I know I've not got anything in my hands because I've had to re-record this intro and the customer's already got their item because this intro decided to get corrupted, which is absolutely brilliant and means I've got nothing to actually show you. So instead, dealing with this picture. Made this on the scroll saw just before my EX21 died. I'm still in the process of getting that fixed, but I managed to get this one cut before I needed to move over to the pin blades because I've had no chance at all of being able to get this cut out. So let's get into it. I'll show you guys how I did it and hopefully you enjoy the video. As you can see, I've already transferred the pattern over to the wood and drilled the entry holes. If you want to see this process, then just watch one of my other scroll saw videos. I go through it on that. I didn't see the need to go through it in every single video. It's quite an easy process to cut, especially with pinless blades. The hole that I drill is 1.5 millimeters. I use my micro chuck in my drill press and it just makes the process nice and easy. This is just cut out of 1 inch thick rough sawn material. It's needed to be external because it's going inside somebody's bar, so I used some external wood. I just sanded the surface down with a belt sander and just made it nice and smooth before applying the pattern. As you may have noticed, I haven't drilled any entry holes in between the feet and the N, that section, because I'm going to be separating the lettering from the live bird itself because they're both being painted 2 different colours. You can cut these out individually and then glue them back together. I prefer to cut the outside all in one go and then you know that it's going to fit together properly. The only time that I'd do them separately is if it was so big that it wouldn't fit on a scroll saw in one piece, and then I'd have to adjust it and sand it and just make sure you got a nice tight fit for the glue to hold it nicely together. So what I'll do now is I'll just let this time lapse of me cutting it out play along. I'll throw some music on for you and I'll see you back once I've cut these separately and we're ready to start painting. So this is the part where I was going to separate the 2 pieces. As you can see, I just cut straight through the different layer, and when everything was going so great, that inevitable moment happened where I broke a blade. And there it goes. It's always a bit of a brown pants moment, but you'll see just in a second how quickly a blade change is on the EX21 and why I love this machine so much. This is done in real time, I've not sped anything up, so you can see just how quickly it is just to get a brand new blade and pop it in there. And there we go, all done, nice and tight, ready to cut again. That took 30 seconds and probably about 10-15 seconds of that was me messing about getting it out of the packet and making sure that there wasn't any oil or anything on there from packaging, and I'm back cutting again. Absolutely amazing. I love the speed of blade changes on this machine and just the quality of life that you get from it, because I can turn on the spot, especially using the modified geometry No.3 blades, which I use for pretty much everything that I cut out. And as you can tell, it's nice and easy to cut with. You get nice sharp lines and there's no messing about. I don't have to exit the cuts to turn. Just amazing. I love the saw, I love the blades. I'll stick links to them down below if you did want to pick them up. I'll tell you now, the saw, usually a weight on it, and it is very expensive at the moment. The circuit board that I'm waiting for is a 2-week wait. I'm taking the one that I currently have to an electrical shop nearby, and hopefully they can repair it for me too, and I'll have a backup just in case it goes again, which within 7 years isn't too bad. Just having this problem. The other problems I've had was the blade clamps splaying out, over tightening. It was my own fault, but they got replaced straight away, and they took the next day. They came the next day, and I was up and running again straight away. So Axminster's great customer service, great machinery. They are quite expensive though, so yeah, like I say, I'll stick links down below. If you did want to pick them up or you did want to check them out, then have a look at the links and maybe you can get one for yourself. And there we go, all cut out. All I need to do now is remove the template, which when I use my masking tape, this just peels off nice and easy, especially with something this delicate. As you can see, the wings, the feathers are moving around quite a bit as I'm taking the tape off. And this is another reason I really like the modified geometry blades, because they leave a nice clean edge. You don't need to do much sanding, and with detailed items like this, that's a godsend. It makes such a difference and you don't have to worry about anything breaking. Like I say, you only need a light sand on here, so I'm just going at it with a bit of 400 grit sandpaper just by hand and getting into the little nooks and crannies where there's some tiny little bits of fuzzy, because it's unavoidable with this type of wood. You hit different grain direction, you hit knots and sap and things like that. With MDF, you don't need any kind of sanding with the modified geometry blades. You get a perfect finish top and bottom, and it's just to take the fuzzies off before painting, because when you paint it, they're going to stick out like a sore thumb, and you don't want that on the finished product. So I'm just knocking them down and getting it ready for painting. Okay, so with the painting, this is going gold and red. So while I'm spray painting, I just use a little block. These blocks that I use are from the cream egg holders that I make. I keep the eggs and I use them a few times. When they get a bit covered in paint, I throw them away and just get another one. I've got plenty of them lying around because I make hundreds every single year. And then I just go at it, I spray all the edges first, and then I spray the surface on the back. I always do the back first, so that then you're less likely to have any problems, and if you do have a problem, it's on the back and not on the front, and not many people are going to be that upset that the back isn't absolutely perfect. If you let this dry completely, then you're not going to have any problems, but if you're in a bit of a rush, then you might just touch it while you're turning it around, and then you do get some problems. So with the liver bird itself, it needed to go red, and I already had this red, so I just watered it down with a bit of paint thinner and made it so I can run it through my airbrush. Now, this is the first time I've actually properly used the airbrush for something. I've used it on a few little things, so I thought I'd give it a go just to try and get into all the little areas, because painting this with a brush was just not something I wanted to entertain. It would have taken me 5 times longer than cutting it out to paint it with a brush. So I tried the airbrush, and I'm really pleased at how it turned out. I have tried the airbrush in previous projects and I just didn't get the paint mixed properly. I wasn't happy with the consistency of the paint, and I think this time I really nailed it, and it turned out really well. So I managed to get 3 or 4 coats on with the airbrush, and once I'd varnished it, it was absolutely perfect. It looks absolutely amazing and has a great finish. Alright, so once I've got them both painted, both sides, and I did a test fit to make sure they fit nicely together still, it was time to glue them together. And the best option in my mind was to use Bond, because there's not a lot of mess, you don't have a lot of squeeze out, and it dries really quickly. I've used this on projects outside before and they've lasted quite a long time, and especially with a varnish that's going over the top, that'll give it a bit more protection to help the glue last that little bit longer. Now Bond's one of my favourite glues to use for projects like this because it sets so fast. It takes 5 to 10 seconds and like I say, that's it, it's done. If you leave it a bit longer, then it gets stronger over the next 24 hours or so, but it's plenty strong enough to use at the moment, and especially with putting some varnish over the top, I'm not going to put that much stress on the joints. It's going to hold really well. So after letting this sit for a couple of hours to make sure that glue dries really strong, it's time to put the varnish on. And again, I do the same process as I do with the spray painting because I was using spray varnish for this. It just made it easier to get into all those little holes and all the little gaps, making sure that the varnish is properly covering all areas. I start with the back and then all the edges, and then I do a surface coverage, and then once that's completely dry I'll flip it over and then I'll do another one on the front. I did 2 to 3 coats of varnish on the front and the back, starting with a matte finish varnish and then finishing with a gloss varnish on the top. The reason I did it this way is because I didn't have a lot of the gloss varnish left over and I had a full tin of the matte varnish. So it didn't make a difference for the protection, it just made sure that I had a glossy finish on the top when I was done. And just because the YouTube and video gods were shining upon me when I was making this video, the final product video and the outro, which I shot at the same time as the intro, ended up getting corrupted at the same time. I think I've got an issue with my SD card, so that when it gets to a certain amount of being full, it just stops saving things properly and it just gets corrupted, which is absolutely amazing for me, so I'll need to swap that over. But I'd like to thank you all for watching this video, and I hope you found some information helpful. If you did like this type of video with the voiceovers and actually watching me do the work, then let me know down below, and if you do prefer these type of videos, I'll keep doing them this way. So as you can tell, this is the final product, and this is the best shot I could get for you because it's the picture that I put on my Facebook and my Instagram. If you're not following them, then I'll stick links to them down below as well. So thanks for watching, guys. I will catch you in the next video, which hopefully doesn't get corrupted, because I'll be a little bit upset because losing footage is not a great thing for a YouTube video maker. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you then.